said he didn't have to work around the yard no more since he sang in the choir.
Beautiful for space. This is yours. He's something.
Whether we realize it or whether we don't, we've all been so blessed. And the old song, it touches me every time I hear it played or sung. American. How God has shed His grace on this great thing that He allowed us to live in. And I think back to those that had their lives that were under religious oppression, even in England. They got all on them old boats. I wouldn't want to cross the moon lake in. But you know what? They crossed the Atlantic Ocean. Left everything they knew, left their homes behind, they left their families behind, looking for a place that they could come and worship God. Worship Him in spirit, worship Him in truth. Boy, how God has blessed that effort. In times that seems like when this nation fought wars that it should lost, that God blessed us. When it come time and they thought that I hadn't even thought this not what I want to preach it. When it come time and England was giving us such a hard time, I was a big nation. Come up just 13 small colonies. But God blessed. Amen. And you look at the wars that this country has been through. When they were the underdog, they were always fighting for a righteous cause. And God always came through.
Amen.
We look around today and we see what we've turned that into. What we've allowed our leaders to turn that into. But you know what? You go back, and I'm not going to get into it. I'm going to read here in a minute, if I can. But you go back and you look down through the Bible, it don't matter how bad things got, there was always a remnant that was worshiping God. I'm glad there's a remnant today, Wayne, that's not defiled themselves, as it said over in Daniel said we won't defile ourselves with the king's meat. I'm glad there's still a remnant out there today in America that's not defiled. You say we're the only ones, preacher, that's living for the Lord. You better go back and look. You'll find the old prophet, old Elijah. He said, Lord, said they stoned you prophets. Said they tore down your altars. He said, I'm the only one left. Said they're seeking my life. God took him out there on the side of the mountain. He said, you better look down yonder. He said, I've reserved to myself 7,000 men that have never bowed knee to the image of Baal. And I'm glad there's people today, too, that's still looking to worship God in the old time way.
Amen.
They don't believe in this new stuff that's going around. We appreciate you today, folks. We appreciate all that's been said or done, all the songs that have been sung. Let's do remember those that have went on before us. You say, do we need to feel sorry for them? I don't feel sorry for them. I'm looking for the day when we can join them. Old David said, I couldn't bring him back, wouldn't bring him back. But he said, I could go where he is.
Amen.
Boy, as I get older, it gets nearer, and it gets nearer to me. I don't know about you. When I was a young man, I remember hearing them old men talk about, Lord, and some of them say, I just can't wait. And you know what? I'm getting to the age now, John, I know what they're talking about. I'm about ready to go home. It gets nearer every day that I live down here. Turn with me, if you would, over into the book of Exodus. Second chapter of Exodus, if you would, just for a few moments. We realize that some of the ladies will be leaving in a few moments to go up and prepare the meal. We appreciate them too. Just pray for them as they have to leave. Back up with me and stand with me if you found it just for a moment. Back up in the 22nd verse. And then we're going to read 11 verses. Second chapter of Exodus. Actually, I'm backing up into the first chapter and catching the last verse there. 22nd verse in the first chapter, and then we'll go on down through the second chapter there. says, and Pharaoh charged all his people, saying, every son that is born ye shall cast into the river, and every daughter ye shall save alive. And there went out a man of the house of Levi, and took the wife and daughter of Levi. And the woman conceived and bare a son. And when she saw him that he was a goodly child, she hid him 3 months. When she could not no longer hide him, she took for him an ark of bulrushes, and topped it with slime and with pitch, and put the child therein. And she said, and she laid it in the flags by the river's brink. And his sister stood afar off to wit what should be done to him. The daughter of Pharaoh came down to wash herself at the river, and her maidens walked along the riverside. And when she saw the ark among the flags, she sent and made her maid to fetch it. And when she opened it, she saw the child, and behold, the babe wailed, and she had compassion on him, and said, this is the one of the Hebrews' children. Then said his sister to Pharaoh's daughter, shall I go and call to thee a nurse of the Hebrew women, that she may nurse the child for thee? And Pharaoh's daughter said to her, go. And the maid went and called the child's mother. And Pharaoh's daughter said unto her, take this child away, and nurse it for me, and I will give thee thy wages. And the woman took the child and nursed it. And the child grew, and she brought him unto Pharaoh's daughter, and he became her son. And she called his name Moses. And she said, because I drew him out of the water. Y'all can be seated if you like. Oh, Moses had a water problem from day one. Sure did. If you back up here, just a little history that I'd like to give you, you'll find that Pharaoh had told the nursemaids or the midwives, they said, now, if you find the Hebrew women bearing children, said, when you come unto them, he said, if they bear a son, then said, kill it. And said, let the girls, said, you let them live. And the midwives wouldn't do that. They wouldn't kill them. But they said, well, when we got, every time we get there, the son's already born. So Pharaoh made a decree. He said, it don't matter if they're born, if they're not. He said, I want the men children killed. You look back and just a little bit more before I go back and give you some history on this, you'll find this woman that found Pharaoh, that found Moses in the water there, Pharaoh's daughter. You'll find that just a few years later, about 20 years later, that she actually became Pharaoh. If you want to study some of the Egyptian history, she became Pharaoh herself. And she was Pharaoh for about 20 years. And then her stepson became Pharaoh over Egypt. And you say, well, what's that got to do with it? If you want to go ahead and study a little further forward, you'll find that she had already died before that Moses came back into Egypt after 80 years. Now, there's a lot there. But you look back, and this could take us way back, and we can even go back to Abraham. And I guess we should, that God told Abraham, said to Abraham, he said, I'm going to make of you a great and a mighty nation. And he said, I want you to know that these people of yours, that first of all, they're going to be bound in bondage into a strange land, into a strange nation. And he said they're going to have to stay there for 400 years. You know how long the children of Israel were in Egypt? They were there 400 years. Just like God said it. I want you to think about that. When God says it's going to happen, you get ready. It's going to happen. You think about it. He told him, he said, this nation that I bring out of you, he said after 400 years, said I'll bring them forth again. And you know what? When Moses came along, do you know how old he was? He would be like when Moses was born. Do you know how long it had been since the children of Israel went into bondage? It had been 320 years. Boy, it was getting close, wasn't it? Moses lived 40 years down there in Egypt. He lived 40 years over there in Midian. And when he was 80 years old, God spoke to him. And when he did, boy, things started to happen. But what I want to get to you here today is God. He knows how to line things up. You think on that today. He knew what he was doing down there when old Abraham, when he was talking to him out by the tent, when he saw him coming down by the plain there. He knowed that what he was doing then. He said, yeah, it's a way down the road. We're even further down the road. But I want to tell you that when God even took the children of Israel, took them down into Egypt, I believe he was looking down through time. He saw us sitting here this morning. He was aligning things up. And folks, he's aligning things up here even today. Do you realize, did you notice when I read there that there was a man of Levi? Do you know who the tribe of Levi is and what the Levitical priesthood, what it meant to the ways of the Bible and what all happened down through the Bible, through the Levites? Do you know that Moses was a Levite? Do you know Levite? Do you know that Aaron was a Levite? He was the first priest. You think about that. They were of the tribe of Levi. God was starting to line things up. Here Moses told him, said, you take every child, and when he's born, said if it's a man, said you kill him, throw him in the river, drown him, do whatever you want to do with him, but said you got to get rid of the men. Did you know why? Because the Israelites had become a threat to the Egyptians. They started getting stronger. You think about it, the Egyptians, they took the Israelites, they put them under bondage, they made them start working. When they come into Egypt, all they were was a bunch of farmers. Boy, I'm glad that I've got farmers behind me, ain't you? They were peaceable people. They were sheep herders. They kept cattle. But the Egyptians took them. You notice what God done here now. The Egyptians took them. They put them into bondage. And when they put them into bondage, they had to start working harder. They worked every day. What did that do for them? You think what that done? That bunch of peaceful farmers, it built them up. It made them stronger. Sometimes we don't understand why God does to us what he does. Why he sends us where he sends us. Why he puts us in the job that he puts us in. But can you imagine that bunch of Egyptians? They was laying back doing nothing. And there the Hebrews were. They were working hard every day. They were getting not just mentally strong, but they was getting physically stronger than the Egyptians. God was aligning things up down there. Hey, many years before even Moses was born, folks. They really noticed what was going on. Said, if we don't do something, they'll become stronger than us. That's why he made the decree that all the Hebrew men had to be children, had to be killed. Let me tell you, I can tell you about another one. The devil done his best to keep him from being born. Amen. He couldn't do a thing about that. Don't you know that the devil knew who Moses was when he was born? Don't you know that Moses was a type? The Bible says he was a type of Christ. And I guess old Lucifer thought he had it all lined up. Yeah, it's time for him to be born. But I've gotten Pharaoh's mind, and I've stretched his mind, and I've warped his mind so much that he's going to die. The very minute he's born, there's going to be some Egyptian come in, and they're going to kill him right there. What are you going to do now, God? Yeah. Amen. The Bible said that Moses was born. I want you to note here what God can do. Moses was born, his mother hid him 3 months. And when she could no longer hide, and you can just hide something so long until her leg would break out on it. Somebody check him for you. He went to get the chicken. When she could no longer hide him, she had to do something. Don't you know that it broke that woman? Almost preached on her 2 weeks or last week for Mother's Day about how hard that it was on her. Jochebed was her name. Moses' father was Amram. Jochebed, I can see her and Miriam, his sister, going out there, and she took and She took those bulrushes. She planted a little ark. And apparently, she didn't want him to get sunburned because they had to open it. She put a top on it. She's afraid it wouldn't float. Do you know what she sealed that ark with? Read there. She used pitch and slime. Do you know where that pitch and slime came from? Now you read on later on, the Hebrews had to gather it for themselves. But the Egyptians were bringing it to the Hebrews to use as building material. Well, preacher, that ain't got nothing to do with it. I heard about an old woman one time that she got down, she didn't have anything to eat. And there's a drunk man brought her some groceries. She stood there on her porch and she started praising the Lord for God's supplying. This drunk looked at her and said, "Ma'am," said, "what are you praising the Lord for?" Said, "I brought you the groceries." She said, "The devil might have delivered it, but God sent it."
Amen. Amen.
Yes, sir.
And that's what I think was going on here. The Egyptians might have brought the pitch and brought the slime, but they brought the very thing that would save the life of the one that the devil was trying to kill. She took that ark and she put that little baby in it. She put it out in the bulrushes. And I don't guess she could stand to watch. She turned around and went home. But his sister, the Bible says, stayed to see what was going to happen. And I want you to notice, folks, I might just have to teach here for a little while. I don't know. I want you to notice, seeing what happened. That little baby didn't stay there and starve to death like his son thought he might have. That ark would have sunk if the devil could have sunk it.
That's right.
I believe you could have put a 10-ton weight on top of that old ark and it would set right there on top of the water.
Yeah.
What makes you say that, preacher? There's another old ark I'm waiting on. You don't have to worry about sinking it.
Yeah. Amen.
It just saves it.
Yeah. Right.
And here came one of the very ones down to the river's edge. That was you take in this woman. I didn't know her name, Sophocles or something like that. Came down to the river's edge to bathe. And her brother, her father, actually had made the law to kill these children. And you know that she was schooled in the way of the Egyptians, and you'd have thought when she saw that Hebrew baby, first thing she'd done, just turn around to one of her guards, said, "Here's another to kill." Let me tell you something. She saw that ark and she sent somebody to get it. And when she opened it, God can melt hearts.
Amen.
He sent the right one down there.
Amen.
God don't make any mistakes.
That's right.
That's what I want to get to you today. God don't make any mistakes. He knows how to line things up.
That's right.
He knows from their own that 80 years later on that little baby lying there in that ark, and he had a job for him to do.
Yeah.
You look back over your life and you look what's brought you to Bays Mountain Church. You look what's brought you right to this place today. What's brought you right to this church. You look how God has lined things up in your life. You say, "Preacher, he's done great things." Let me tell you something. He's lining something up bigger right now than any of us ever came thought of. Now I want you to look here what God can do. I want you to notice. He could put compassion in that woman's heart
Yes, sir.
for that little baby.
Amen.
I guess she's standing there thinking what she's going to do. All of a sudden, this little Hebrew girl showed up out of nowhere. Said, "Let me go get you." Said, "I'll get you a Hebrew nurse to come and nurse this baby." You think about that.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. Amen.
Just a nurse, just somebody out of the blue. She said, "Yeah." I said, "You go get her." All of all of a sudden there showed up a Hebrew nurse. She didn't have to know it was the baby's mother. Who better to raise her? You think about that. He wasn't raised as an orphan. He was raised till it's almost time to be weaned, right by his own mother. And I want you to look here what happened. What my God can do.
Amen.
She said, you take this child and raise it. Huh? She didn't just say take him and raise it. She said, if you'll take him and raise him, said, I'll pay you your wages.
Yeah.
You think about that. Now, I wonder what the devil was doing then. He couldn't get him killed when he was born. He couldn't sink his heart. And all of a sudden, his mother's getting paid to raise him. You think about that. Devil can't do nothing with God. God needed a leader. He needed one of the Hebrews to be a leader. He needed him to be educated. I want you to think about this. And I guess that the Hebrews were poor. They didn't have much school. Do you know where Moses got educated? He got educated in the best schools of the land. Education was paid for. It didn't cost his family not one cent. He was protected. The devil went to kill him. You think about it. Everywhere he went, there's a guard there beside of him to protect him because he was Pharaoh's daughter's child. You think about that. Tell me God don't know what he's doing. He told Abraham, what was it, 800 years before, what was going to happen, and he'd come down there, and boy, the Bible said, in the course of time, when things started to be fulfilled, that God heard the cries of his people, and he started setting things up.
Amen.
Had the best school, had the best place to live, he was guarded. He had it all. And was supposed to have been killed at birth. Yeah, I know the story of Moses. And I'm not going on into it. It's getting late. But there's something I want you to get out of this today. If you don't get nothing else, there's something I want you to get out of it. We don't realize why we have to go through some trials sometimes. We don't realize our problems. Did you know that the Bible says that all things work together for good? For good. For those that love the Lord.
Yeah.
To those that are called according to his purpose.
Yeah.
I got to thinking about this and I could have shouted sitting there on the couch the other morning. I look around and I see the way the world is turning. Yeah, I hate the way the world's turning. I see all this junk that our leaders have got us into, and I don't like it any more than y'all do. But you say, preacher, what's that got to do with Moses? I just want you to know God's lining things up. He's lining things up. And boy, when they shall cry peace and safety, you better get ready. It don't matter if it's in our personal life, folks. Sometimes Tim Nelson has to walk through the valley. Sometimes you have to walk through the valley.
Yeah.
And I don't like the valley any more than you do. I'd just rather have good smooth sailing all the time. I don't like climbing a mountain, don't like walking in the valley. We ain't never happy. But you know what? God knows what he's doing.
Amen.
God's always lining things up.
Yeah.
I think about the lady that Kathy requested prayer for Wednesday night. They told her just last week, 4th time, that her cancer's come back. They told her that this time it don't look too good. I reckon the worst, I don't know a thing about cancer, but the worst diagnosis you can have in cancer is triple negative. Everybody that number. And they told her hers was triple negative. More or less, she probably wouldn't be retired. You know what? She's a good old Christian girl. She told Kathy on the phone, she said, all I care. She said, don't pray that God would heal me. She said, just pray that number one, that God's will would be done, and she said, if God gets glory out of me having cancer, she said, that's good enough for me. Boy, it ought to be good enough for us, you know. To God be the glory. If He wants to send me across the mountaintop, God, you get the glory out of it. God, if you want me to walk through the valley, then would you get the glory out of it, God? God, if you want me to be sick, and God, would you get the glory out of it? God, wherever we are, whatever we're doing, God, would you get the glory out of it? And you know what? He's lining things up right now.
Yeah.
In my life, in your life. He's lining things up in Bays Mountain Church. He's lining things up in America. And most of all, He's lining things up on a worldwide scale. He knows every time a bug's born, and that bug's born for a reason. Did you know that? And it's all, folks, you read your Bible. It's all starting to come together. It's like, did you ever put a puzzle together, and I'm going to shut up. Did you ever put a puzzle together and start with, you got pieces laying everywhere. And after a while, you'll see a little picture, but part of the picture come together over here. And then you see a little part of the picture come together over here. Well, down here is grass. It must be a scene, a landscape scene. Well, look, that looks like a barn. And all of a sudden, things starts looking like it's coming together. Read your Bible. It's starting to come together. Do you realize that I was thinking about this the other day, that in the last, you tell me if I'm wrong, in the last 30 years, God has revealed more to His people. They have things that's come out of the Bible that I know we're having old-fashioned day. There have been things that have been revealed out of God's holy word that the preachers today are starting to see, and it's being proved out of God's word. People are starting to see things now that for the last 2,000 years God ain't showed. But you know what? It's coming together. Just like with old Moses, it come time, and the devil tried to fight him. And even his mama got paid to raise him. He was poor, but he was raised in the best school. You think about that. Raised in the best houses. And God knows what's good for us too. It's not always steak and gravy, so to speak. So we're Baptists, sometimes we have to settle for chicken. But God always, whatever He's doing, is our good. Don was talking this morning about his good friend and our friend Bo, that he was very little time to live. 57th chapter of Isaiah. You think about this. I'm coming to a close. We're not going to have an altar call this morning. I'll have Raven play something. You shake hands on the way out. There'll be waiting on us up here. We was talking about Bo, and I thought about the 57th chapter of Isaiah. It said the righteous perish, and no man layeth in the horses. None considering that He has taken away from the evil the coming. If I die today, don't worry about me. There's a lot of evil I won't have to face. And whether it's on a world scale or whatever, or just in my life, there's a lot of evil I wouldn't be facing in the future. He shall rest in His bed, none considering He is taken away from the evil coming. There remaineth a rest. Did you know that? The Bible says therefore remaineth a rest to the children of God.
Amen.
I'm going to shut up, Raven. Come and play, folks. We want everybody to come and eat with us. If you could, we want you to come up. They've got the meal prepared up there. They're going to be looking for you. We want you to come and eat. Said, preacher, I didn't bring nothing. You didn't have to bring nothing. We're going to have her play. We love you. Don't forget to know church tonight. Remember, God's in control. Shake hands as you leave and come on up to the fellowship. Now, let's do this, Raven, before you do. Let's have somebody ask a blessing on the food up there. Ivan, would you dismiss us in prayer and ask a blessing on the food?
Yes.